It didn't arrive with champagne. It arrived in silence, in pieces, hidden, because what was inside wasn't meant to be seen here. This is the story of the car they tried to keep out. This car was never supposed to become a legend. It was banned, misunderstood, hidden in crates, and crushed by governments. Not because it was dangerous, but because it was too good. In a world of Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and Porsches, all built by elite European giants, a silent warrior rose from the ashes of a struggling company in Japan. That warrior? The Nissan GT-R. But let's rewind. The late 1980s were grim for Nissan. Sales were plummeting. The lineup was uninspiring. In the boardrooms of Tokyo, panic quietly echoed. Honda was dominating with the Civic and Accord. Toyota was revolutionizing luxury with Lexus. And Nissan? It was fading, becoming irrelevant. Internally, the leadership knew they needed more than a facelift or a marketing campaign. They needed a resurrection. So they looked to the past, to a badge that had once meant something. A badge buried for 16 years. GT-R, a name whispered by older car lovers, remembered for a brief racing glory in the early 70s. And in a moment of desperation, Nissan gave the green light to bring it back. But not as a retro tribute. This GT-R would be engineered to destroy. Out of that ambition, or perhaps that last-ditch hope, came the R32 Skyline GT-R. It was all-wheel drive, twin-turbocharged, fitted with the RB26 Diet, a 2.6L inline-six that whispered false modesty at 276 HP, though it made much more. It was a beast born in silence. But then, it roared. In Australia's legendary Bathurst 1000, the R32 did something unthinkable. It crushed the field. Against thundering V8s and beloved homegrown legends, the quiet Japanese coupe dominated. Lap after lap, it widened the gap. The local press gave it a name, Godzilla. Because it came from Japan and destroyed cities, the R32 was so dominant, it was banned, not disqualified, not fined, banned. They rewrote the rules just to stop it. It wasn't fair, they said. It wasn't right. But Nissan knew. They had tapped into something terrifying. Still, they weren't finished. What came next was evolution. First came the R33, more refined, heavier, but still potent. But the true masterpiece, the moment where engineering met emotion, came in 1999, the R34 GT-R. On paper, it wasn't wildly different. Still the RB26, still the Atessa ETS AWD system, but in spirit, it was another level. This car wasn't designed to be loud. It wasn't flamboyant. It didn't scream at you. It whispered. Its strength was in its subtlety, like a samurai dressed in a gray suit. Inside, a multifunction display gave real-time data like G-forces and injector duty cycles, things no other car showed. It didn't have fancy touchscreens, no traction control, and no nonsense. Every inch was precision. Every line was intention. And underneath, the RB26 breathed like an athlete. Twin ceramic turbos spooled with urgency. The torque split adjusted in milliseconds. The Super Hica's rear-wheel steering danced with corners. It was a computer-controlled mechanical symphony. But the world wasn't ready. In America, import laws blocked it. The 25-year import rule made it illegal to own, unless you were rich enough, powerful enough, or lucky enough to sneak one in. Some tried. They disassembled them, shipped them in pieces, reassembled them. Others got crushed, literally. There are videos of GT-Rs being destroyed under government orders. Steel giants turned to scrap for daring to exist. And yet, the legend only grew. Gamers in the early 2000s discovered it in Gran Turismo. Street racers saw Paul Walker slide it in Fast and Furious. And suddenly, the car no one could have was the car everyone wanted. It wasn't about horsepower, it was about aura. The GT-R became a myth. On message boards, people debated whether the R34 really made 500 HP stock. Tuners pushed them to 1,000-plus horsepower with ease. Drag racers, drifters, circuit junkies, all bowed to its versatility. But above all, it was attainable magic. It wasn't built by a trillion-dollar supercar brand. It came from a company fighting to survive. And that's what made it powerful. Because the R34 GT-R wasn't just a machine. It was a statement that Japan could build something not just competitive, but untouchable. Behind this miracle was a team of engineers working in the shadows, people like Kazutoshi Mizuno, known as the father of the GT-R, who insisted that performance had to be measurable, repeatable, reliable. He believed that a car should communicate with its driver, not control them, but collaborate with them, and the culture? It exploded. From option videos on VHS tapes in Japan to midnight meets in Tokyo's Wangon, the GT-R became a symbol of rebellion, of precision, of Japan's challenge to the West. In the 90s, there was a racing mantra: win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Nissan didn't just win. They crushed, so much so that there was nothing left to prove. But then, they disappeared. 2002 was the final model year, and after that, silence. For 7 years, there was no GT-R, until 2007 when Nissan launched the R35, a global supercar that shed the Skyline name and started a new chapter. But purists, they still look to the R34. Why? Because it was the last true analog GT-R, the last with raw soul. No digital boost maps, no dual clutch paddles, no luxury cabin, just man, machine, and momentum. In 2019, the R34 hit its 25-year mark in Japan, and by 2024, it was eligible for legal import to the U.S. What happened? Prices exploded. From $40,000 to $400,000, collectors scrambled, legends don't depreciate, they ascend. And yet, even today, when you hear that RB26 growl, something stirs. It's not nostalgia. It's reverence. The GT-R doesn't ask to be loved. It demands to be respected. Because in an era of digital noise, it was pure signal. No filters, no lies, just truth. In steel, in sound, in speed. And that truth still echoes in tunnels across Tokyo. They called it Godzilla. But that name wasn't just about destruction. It was about presence. Because when the R34 GT-R entered the room, or the track, everything changed. There's a certain kind of silence that falls when greatness arrives. Not the loud, boastful kind, but the focused, sharp, and undeniable kind. That was the R34. Even the competitors knew. Engineers from Porsche, BMW, and even Ferrari began referencing the GT-R in internal meetings. They studied it. They reverse-engineered it. Some feared it, because Nissan, a brand-fighting financial ruin, had built something the giants couldn't. It was like watching an underdog athlete walk into the Olympics and break records, not just once, but again and again. It forced giants to study it. It made legends nervous. And it came from a company on the brink of collapse. That's how good, neat, the prime GT-R was.